Hi everyone, I'm Shumei, and today I'm going to show you artwork. And firstly, I'm going to introduce you the background story of this artwork. In Greek mythology, Zeus gave Pandora a box, and when she opens the box, she releases a bunch of evil, disaster, sadness, jealousy, resentment, and so on. Until the end, it was a hope. In this artwork is illustrated by a Chinese artist named Max Marisker, and she's not really famous, but her artwork is really inspired me. Firstly, so as you can see, the subject of this artwork is a moment that the Pandora opens box and release a bunch of diamonds, which represent humans' desire. And let me show you some. Let's point out some of the main objects. And firstly, the Pandora is floating on the ground, and there's a box in her hands, and many human-like creatures are flying from the box and floating in the air. And there are about 36 people in this artwork, including Pandora. And the Pandora's shadow is reflecting on the ground, and the shadow is really clear. And the background of this artwork, as you can see, is really dark and vast. And next, let me show you some of the details. And in this artwork, you can see there's a obviously boundary between the backspace and ground, and her shadow is made around the ground is really clear. And next, Pandora has a ankle length hair, and the child of the hair is skirt is curled inwards, and she wears a elegant long dress, and which like inward job, and her eyes is looking up, and her hands are holding a box, and the lid of the box is open. Next, in the smoke area, there are about 35 people, and which represent human beings, and the smoke has three main parts. In the upper part is an old man with bearded face, and whose hand is open as if he is trying to grab something, and his expression is peaceful. And there are some other faces which is painted in dark color and close to him. These faces are all very painful and old, so I think this part of the artist represents the old age and death. In the middle part, mainly depicts Beethoven and a young woman. There are also some other people and objects like movie stars, pianists, animals as soldiers. Beethoven holds a script in one hand, and the other hand is extending forward. His legs are clasped by someone else, and the young woman's left hand is outstretched, as if she is trying to stop something or protect something. And in this part, there are about 29 people, and it's also the biggest part. And the people in this part are almost really painful because there is no smiling face in this part, and they have a really tense posture. Look up their dim faces. They are screaming, crying, and they are really hopeless, really scared, and they are struggling with life and trying to surviving with the life. And the ending part represents hope, I think. It's a reunion couple, and the man opens the arm and try to hug his wife, and we can see a smile on her face, and there's also the only smile in this art. And a little boy with wings seems like an angel, is curling in the shadow. And we can also see the Medusa of the Greek mythology in this artwork. She's in the far right. And then I'm going to analyze this work. And firstly, when I see this painting, the first thing to see is the second layer of this artwork, and which is also the brightest part of this artwork. Then I saw the bottom layer of the smoke is this reunion couple, and the ending I saw the Pandora. This is ice movement, I think, and the texture of this painting is, I think, is really sculpture scenes, and in Pandora part, it seems not so smooth, but it's kind of frosted, especially the bright surface of the Pandora in the smoke area. It's like the crayon painting texture and some kind of granular things. And for the pattern, I think we can start from the lion's perspective. The artwork is almost made up of the curved lions, wave lions, frame lions, and spiral lines, which lines compose gesture lines which stretch people's body. And at the bottom, horizontal lines goes from left to right and bound the background. The smoke area takes a large proportion of the whole artwork, and in which there are lots of curved lines and free lines. These different lines compose a large spiral lines, like a tornado floating from the box. In the smoke area, I think is the emphasis of the part, because all the highlight color are concentrated in this part of the artwork. And when we put the lines together, we can see lots of three dimensions form, like cone, calendar, and spherical. And these fundamentals form people's body. And the painter used high saturated color and low saturated color to distinguish the front and the hand and the behind parts of space. The people seems closer to us, painted in high saturated color, and the people seems in distance painted with low saturated color. And for the variety and unity, I think when we focus on this painting, we can see when we focus on the details of the painting, we can see about 35 people in the smoke area, and their movement and expression are different. And some people are crying, some are screaming, some are meditating, and some are struggling, and some are indigent. But all these varieties faces are all have same emotions, that they seem to be enveloped. In grief and pain. And for the balance and harmony, each use intermediate position method. And from the shadow of the Pandora to the top of the smoke, the main object is centered around the center vertical lines, and so the structure and proportion is really neat. And on the other hand, the color of the painting is really simple and clean, because it just use many kind of blue and purple, and with different gray scale. And in this artwork, the artist used blue as a main color, and the lower value of blue, which is navy blue, as the background, and the higher value of cyan, which is a mixture color of the blue and green, and to as a highlight of the smoke area. Between this scale, the artist used many colors from different levels of values between navy blue and cyan, like the dark violet and the dark cyan, and as well as the small qualities of purple. And in Pandora's part, the artist used high value and high chrome purple, which is lilac purple, to paint her hair, and bright surface, and uses low value and low chrome purple to paint her dark surface, and use low saturated red as an intermediate color. And the artist also use really deep color to paint the ground and distinguishes the ground from the background with a slightly bright gray. You can see this part is slightly gray compared with the ground, and this unified color make the artwork harmonious and well organized. In the next interpretation, the painting, I think, is full of misery and beautiful, very emotional, really sentimental. Pandora's face doesn't have any panic or surprise when she tried to open the box, but she just had the calm, and she seemed to try to look for something in the box, but we actually don't know. And the reason why I have this feeling because of her position and the color. She is floating on the ground. All around is really empty, dark, and her body just take a really small proportion of the whole artwork. So let's make a feeling of loneliness and sadness. For the color, although the brightest part of this artwork is really painted in cold color, and the whole painting uses cold tone, so these elements make the painting has such sadness emotion. And finally, judgment crowding to the aesthetic theorists. I think this work is definitely has an emotion qualities because every expression except the young woman is really is really sad and sorrow, which means humans tragedy. And the colors the artist uses is really cold, and these elements both represent the emotion aspect of the artwork, so it is a successful painting. And as for me, when I look at this work, I think a word that I able to describe all the elements and principles of the design. They are really vivid and detailed, and based on that, I think it is successful because it has an artist merit, and especially the smiling face on the woman's face, which symbolize hope, and that enriches the whole work emotion. Thank you.